Welcome to the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast.
Hi, I'm David Manti, and welcome to a new episode of the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast. With me today is Jason Vegotsky, CEO of PedalFast. How are you doing today, Jason?
Doing great, David. Just got a nice workout in. I'm feeling good right now, man.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I forced myself to do some squats. You know, sometimes you gotta like fake like you actually work out your whole body. So
right. Recreational squats, my goodness, on a lunch hour.
There it is, man. At PedalFast, we get it all in. Full spectrum agency here.
Well, I wanted to start by learning a little bit about how you found yourself in the cannabis industry. What brought you here?
If you would have told myself 15 years ago that I'd be in cannabis, my friends would have been like, hell no. I'm from the East Coast. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. I've always been in distribution or brand building. So I grew up around wine and liquor distribution in New Jersey. That's what my dad was in forever. And after school, I was selling wine for a little while, and like most egotistic 24-year-olds that don't know anything about anything yet about life, I was like, I shouldn't be working for somebody. I should start my own thing. And boy, was I humbled, pretty quickly. But I actually started a beef jerky company with a partner, and we built a national brand. It was a 5-year run and ended up selling that business. But it was a great experience for, number one, understanding route to market. And we'll talk a lot about route to market. And I know route to market in wine and spirits, but understanding route to market for brands in food and beverage is extremely important because cannabis is a little bit of both. So after I messed that thing up every which way you possibly could, I got into cannabis. It was 6 years ago now. My first company was Summit Innovations. My CFO of the jerky company had called me and he was like, dude, what are you going to do next? I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, my neighbor's a CPA and he's got some contract for butane gas. You should take a look at it. Supposedly like butane is used in cannabis. I only know butane from like a lighter. And I did my homework and diligence on the cannabis space. And 6 years ago, it was, vape was taken off, edibles were taken off, everybody was making oil, and butane was at that time the most sought after input to turn flour into oil. So I was the first guy selling butane across the whole country legally. Hazmat certified, and that's how I got into the space, selling to all the labs. So anybody that was making oil, I was selling to, and I learned the space kind of from that angle. That business was then sold to Kushco Holdings, which is now Green Lane. I was the president of Kushco Holdings after they bought my company, and just like the story of my life, there's a lot of good, a lot of learnings, a lot of bad. But there was two great things from that experience. Number one, you run a public company, you grow up fast. You can't hide. And that was probably the best business experience of my life. Had a lot of success, had a lot of failure, but learned a lot. Number two was Kushco Holdings is a packaging and vape company. We sold ancillary products to every brand in the country. So I got to meet with everybody from Canopy Growth to Aurora, to GTI, to the big boys, the small guys, every little state, I knew the brands. And I'm not the smartest dude on the planet, but when 100 people tell me the same exact problem, I think I can pick up on that and try to figure out how to solve that problem. And what the problem was, every brand was like, my sales team stinks, my distributor stinks even more. I don't know how to overlay my distributor. I don't know how to drive velocity. I don't have enough brand ambassadors, right? I don't have the ability to drive the type of traffic that I normally would towards my brand, and I needed a partner to help. And it took me back to the food world and the alcohol world of like, I can fix this problem with the right type of organization. So I left Kushco Holdings and called the two people closest to me at the time, Arun Kurchetti, who's my partner, GC COO, and Gina Steglia, who's my other partner, who's our chief strategy officer, and really is the lifeblood of our culture and our company. And PedalFast was born.
What was the jerky company?
Dude, Lawless Jerky. Get this. So this dude comes up to me in Wegmans food store on the East Coast, and I'm selling wine. I'm like 23, I'm selling wine. And this guy knocks on my shoulder. I was in a tie because I had to go to like a wedding or something that night. And I was getting like a bottle of bourbon. And the dude taps on my shoulder and he's like, "Hey, will you buy my beef jerky company?" I'm like, "Or my beef jerky for your store?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just buying bourbon here. Maybe I can help you." And he, because I sold wine and I knew a lot of beer shops. So I'm like, "Oh, jerky, this is a nice guy. Clearly has no clue what the hell he's doing sales wise." So I'm like, "Yeah, why don't you meet me for lunch? And I'd love to hear your story." And turns out the guy went to Duke undergrad, UCLA law school, was a killer lawyer, and left it all to start a company called Lawless Jerky because law made him less happy. And I was like, "Dude, let me be a 50-50 partner and let's go to town." And that's how it all started.
So you said that you saw a lot of successes and failures in jerky, and then at Summit, what were some of those failures and successes, and how do you look to learn from them or expand upon them with PedalFast?
I think the first thing is, as a young entrepreneur, you always hear you have to invest in people, culture is everything, and hiring and all those things. And as a young person, you're like, "What are you talking about? Like, I just want to sell product and make money and have a margin." And like, you don't fully appreciate culture and what it can do to an organization, right? And for me, in order for me to learn that, I think I had to mess it up. And I think it starts with ego. I think if you're going to be a good leader and a good business person, you got to be vulnerable, and that's not something that somebody with an ego can do. I think you have to be humbled, and I think you have to know that all times, no matter how good it gets, especially in cannabis, it can turn in a heartbeat. And what I set out to do at PedalFast was make rights out of all the wrongs that I've made with culture and hiring and firing, and the type of people that we bring on. So in cannabis, we all have our war stories of this guy screwed me, this person told me I was going to get this job and I didn't get this, and I didn't get paid, or he stole from me. We've heard all of it, right? And what we have done at PedalFast is take all of that and have an organization and a team that says, "I want to build something better." And if we're transparent, if we hire slowly and go through a real process, and if we're unbelievably focused on team building, and you can build an organization even in cannabis where it's unbelievably dynamic. And the thing that I'm most proud about with PedalFast and kind of bringing this to light, all those mistakes that I made, we've been around for 2 years. We've had one person in 2 years leave the company on their own accord. I don't know that there's another company in cannabis that has that. We have over 50 people in the company now. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. And that's really, the staple of this team.
No, I think that says a lot about both your management and the team. I was just talking to a colleague about the turnover in the cannabis industry, and it's happened actually a couple of times on this podcast where I do the interview. I go to send the interview out to everybody, and the one person the email bounces back from was the subject of the interview. It's like, oh, and it's a real issue, and the fact that you've achieved such low turnover is a testament to your management.
Well, it starts with the investor base, right? Because a lot of the challenges in keeping culture is just keeping a good balance sheet, making sure you don't spend over your skis, making sure you stay within yourself. And I'll tell you that Merida Capital has been behind me in all my companies, and we've had a lot of success together. And the beauty of Merida Capital is that whether you're doing good or poor, they stand behind you no matter what, right? And that's been no different with this company. They were my first investor. Now we have WGD, who has been unbelievably helpful to us. And we have a large MSO on our cap table to help us think about how does this look across the country. And then we have one of the top alcohol beverage distributors as our lead investor. So we have an unbelievable group of investors that allows me to go to the team and say, this is what we're going to do. And I know that I have them behind me to go and execute on those tasks.
Could you talk a little bit about PedalFast. Who are your customers, and how do you go about serving their various needs?
Yeah. So PedalFast is a selling organization. I hate vertical integration. I think vertical integration is one of the main reasons why cannabis is struggling. Everybody is trying to do everything, right? And it's nice if you can pull it off, and kudos to Stizzy. They certainly have been one of the unicorns, Curaleaf, GTI, Trulieve. There are a couple out there that have done it and done it extremely well. But you need a lot of money. The more verticals you're in, the more money that you need, right? And the more people that you need, and the more challenging it is to stay focused. So the number one thing that we tell our people and our customers is we are not looking to do everything. We are looking to be the best selling and trade marketing division in cannabis. And that's what all we will do. Okay. So PedalFast in California, and I'll talk about our California business first, is made up of 46 people. We've got 18 salespeople. We cover the entire state, and if the retailer pays, we do business with them. And that is starting to get a little bit better for sure. We have a brand management organization of 6. These are some of the highest paid and best strategists in the space that are working with brands to talk about how do you navigate this market. I think a lot of people think brand management is project management. No, brand management is brand strategy. And we're looking for the most experienced people that want to say, I built that brand. And that's what we have here. And then one of the big differentiators for us is we invested in a trade marketing organization. So we have 13 field marketing folks. So when we sell into a store, the field marketing organization will follow that up with merchandising, swag, bud tender training, bud tender love, bringing our top retailers lunch. And they work hand in hand with their sales counterpart. They also manage, we're up to 77 brand ambassadors to do just the demos and the carnival day and the takeover day and that kind of stuff. So we have a large organization, and we can't do Super Bowl ads and TV ads and all the things that a normal CPG business can do. So we believe if you can do brand building 101 in the retail store better than anybody, right, you'll have success. And that's what we help our companies do. We represent a portfolio of 16 brands at the moment. Yada Yada, Space Coyote, Umo, Emerald Sky, some of category leaders. Yada Yada is the fastest growing brand in California cannabis, the only brand in the top 10 flower category that was not even in the market the year prior. So really proud of the work that we've done there. And then the other thing to highlight is our pilot program. We're bringing pre-revenue brands to retailers in a Shark Tank-like format. So if you look like a rosin guy, man. So if you were coming out with David rosin and you wanted to get it into market, the first thing I would tell you to do is let's go talk to retailers. So the program allows you to get in front of 75 retailers and pitch yourself, right? We walk you in, we have the relationship. So then you're getting a direct feedback on what they like, what they don't like, what price point. And then you can either come back and say, damn, I hit the mark. Let's go and crush this. Put me in the full portfolio. Or more oftentimes you go, okay, I'm on to something, but I got to pivot a little bit and tweak this value proposition so that I can have success. And that program has been extremely successful as well.
Is the pilot program the accelerator program or incubator program?
That's the incubator. The pilot program is our incubator. Okay. I will tell you that out of the 25 brands that have gone through the program, only 2 have made it into our core portfolio.
Why is that?
Because a lot of these brands just did not have the ability to scale. They didn't have they were kind of in shock at the capital that was needed. I think they were in shock with the competition and how difficult it is and how committed you have to be to doing it. So it's a quick reality check. And even if you don't go for it, I would argue that the brands are very happy because they learned exactly what they need to come back into the market, or they go, this is not for me. I'll catch you guys later.
Are you entirely on the consumer side of the business, or are you on the B2B side at all?
So we represent brands into retailers. So technically our customers are all B2B, but obviously if you're going to be representing consumer packaged goods, the ultimate goal is to get that in front of consumers. So a little bit of both.
Go ahead. You had mentioned that, so the incubator program is different from the accelerator program. What's the accelerator program?
So the accelerator program that's the big selling organization, right?
Okay.
That's the 18 sales team. That's the brand management. That's where we are going to take your brand into market and blanket you all over the state. If that's the strategy. There are plenty of brands that are like, I'm very premium. I just want to be in LA and I want to be in San Francisco and I want to be in the most premium stores. So we build that strategy along with you. But if you think about a distributor, right? A distributor is usually a selling organization, a customer service organization, a brand management organization, combined with a warehousing organization, logistics, technology, on the back end, right? So we are only the front of the house, and then we partner with Nabis, who is our back of the house provider, and we fully integrated our platform into their platform, and they've been a great partner to us as we have expanded.
One thing that I've noticed in this industry is, and you've talked to it a little bit about, I want to say like a lack of media savvy or a lack of marketing. A lot of people think that their products will sell themselves. And I've seen that in other markets that I've worked in, particularly as I've worked with a lot of design engineers. They think they've invented the new mousetrap and it'll sell itself. Do you see that a lot in this industry where people go to market, perhaps in this incubator program, think that it's a slam dunk and really they're just really kind of disillusioned?
Well, I think I always go back to two things. Number one, ask yourself, is this product needed? Like truly ask yourself. Like literally, no joke. I saw a THC dried string bean. I'm like, I'm good. I don't know that that's going to be something that we need right now.
Right.
So is this a product needed in the market? And then number two, I see a lot of people marketing to people that don't smoke weed. Right? Like, I love my mom, and she might hit a vape pen like 3 times a year, and that's all good. So technically she's a consumer, but I don't know that her one vape cartridge that she buys a year is going to really move the needle for any brand. And I feel like there are so many brands that are going after such niche markets that there's just not enough revenue there to drive a real business, right? That's one of the biggest challenges, because we want innovation. Everybody wants innovation. But at the end of the day, my mom's not even going into the dispensary. She's hitting me up to go, right? Yeah. So I believe that Can is everybody's best friend. The brand Can is one of, if not the most sophisticated marketing organizations in cannabis. And why they're everybody's best friend is because they are spending more money than anybody in driving that consumer, that new consumer, right, into dispensaries. And the more success that they have, the pie is just going to get bigger for everybody else. So I think that I'm hopeful that they will continue to do what they're doing and drive that type of traffic. But when you're talking about brands and you're looking at the incubator, sometimes I scratch my head and I'm like, okay, this product I don't know that stoners want this. And people that may actually want this, they're not smoking weed. So that's one of the things that I'm seeing.
Well, maybe your mom is more of a infused dried green bean type of consumer.
Yeah. She would definitely enjoy that. But same thing. She'll have one every month. So one bag a year, I don't think is going to get it done. But we see some weird stuff, man.
Like what else?
Oh, geez. I mean, all of the different honeys and that kind of stuff. I love that, right? And again, it's just like, how do you build a business around that? One of my favorite brands is actually Potley. I love this brand called Potley. We worked with them for a while. She probably has the best products like in that I've seen, and they have a sriracha product that I love. I might buy a bottle of sriracha my whole year, like normal sriracha. Right. Yeah. So how much THC sriracha am I buying? It just gets really challenging. And I love her, and she does a great job, and the brand is beautiful. But a lot of cannabis and winning in cannabis is about timing. I'm not saying that that's not going to be something that makes sense, but it probably won't make sense until like that product can be a novelty type of gift in Williams-Sonoma. You know what I mean? And then you'll drive some traffic. So channel is interesting. I believe that Can would be a top 5 beverage in the entire country all categories, bar none, if they were allowed in grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
In dispensaries where you can't do floor stacks, there's sometimes not even cold boxes. It's really hard to build a beverage in kind of the beverage old playbook.
What are some of the products that make sense to you?
Well, anything that a stoner would like to consume, okay? Because they smoke a lot. And one of the most interesting things that I've seen is Uncle Arnie's. It's a pretty good case study. If you would have told me that 100 milligram apple juice would be probably the fastest selling and fastest growing beverage in the state of California, I would say, who is drinking? What adult is drinking apple juice? Number one, right? Even though I do like it when I have my kids and I'm getting a bagel or something, I'll pick up an apple juice. But I'm not like seeking after an apple juice.
Mm-hmm.
Apple juice, 100 milligrams is one of the fastest growing SKUs in the space. And that's mind-boggling to me. But that proves to you that if you find the right consumer and understand what they're looking for, is it the apple juice or is it the THC milligrams that they're looking for? I'm not quite sure there, probably the THC, and the mechanism is apple juice. But that consumer is different. And coming from alcohol beverage, it's like everybody wants the mom, everybody wants the premium slot. Everybody wants, why? Because that person has a lot of disposable income, right? Mm-hmm. That person will buy 5 bottles of Grey Goose for their party, even though they only need 1 or 2, and they just won't even think about it, right? You've seen them in the stores. It's like, what kind of party are you having? I want to come.
Yeah.
Or in the mall, they're shopping like that. In normal CPG, that is the holy grail. That's who you're going after. That's who you can get the most premium on. In cannabis, it's the stoner. And that's a whole different world. Typically, the stoner in the normal CPG world is lower income, right? Mm-hmm. Value products, right? And what we're seeing is those are the products that are moving faster than any others because those brands are catering to this consumer that actually consumes more THC, even though, and I don't know this for a fact, even though they probably would not fall into that premium tier CPG consumer that alcohol beverage and food and beverage is typically going after.
You recently had an announcement with Turning Point to expand the Zigzag brand. When I think of cannabis, one brand that stands out as synonymous with the cannabis industry is Zigzag. So how do you plan to work with them to, expand their reach?
Well, a couple things. I mean, if you look at data in Canada, right, they've been federally legal for a while. I don't know about you, but I buy papers in a grocery store or C-store, right? Mm-hmm. A convenience store. And that has always been the case, even in Canada. If you look at some data, those type of ancillary products, even bongs and pipes, they are now being bought in dispensaries, right? Mm-hmm. So we believe that trend will continue as kind of the U.S. market matures. We have the ability to, with our field team, to get into stores and build brand equity. I think Zigzag, their consumers in dispensaries buying weed, right? Mm-hmm. If they can have the Zigzag products and have some brand equity and some posters and that brand be alive and well in a dispensary, I think we would show a lot of success with that and we would meet their needs. So we're excited about taking a kind of a nostalgic product that everybody who smokes has seen before, mm-hmm. And introducing it more so into the dispensary channel.
What do you look for in a client?
Number one, somebody that is going to work well with us. I don't care who you are. I don't care what product you have. There's going to be problems. There's going to be pivots. There's going to be challenges. So when we're looking at management teams, we're looking for folks that are comfortable working as a group through problems, and we're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes, and we're going to work through it as a group. We need to feel like one team for this to work really well. So it starts with management team, and if they're going to fit into the culture of how we view kind of cannabis in the world, that's number one. Number two, does your product fit the market? Is the question we will ask ourselves. Number three would be, does your product fit our portfolio? Right? We want to category management. We want to make sure we have a well-rounded portfolio. We don't want our brands fighting necessarily for shelf space. Certainly can have multiple flower brands, but we'd like them to be differentiated in some sort of way. And then we have three hurdles. Do we believe you can get to $100,000 a month in sales? Do we believe you can get to $300,000 a month in sales? And do you believe that we can get to $1 million a month in sales? Right? Emerald Sky, love them. They're one of the best products in the market. Their lead product is a peanut butter cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
They own like 100% of the peanut butter cup market. I mean, they're only going to grow so much within that marketplace. So Emerald Sky, how are we going to pivot into some other products, some other channels? They're coming out with a sleep peanut butter cup. Like working through all that together is extremely important. We want to show growth, and we need to believe truly that we can show growth. The last thing I'll say is that we turn down a lot of brands. There's a lot of folks that are in distress right now. We're not miracle workers. We can't magically make you double or triple in sales, but I guarantee you, if you put the time in to build a plan with us, we can right-size the ship alongside of your team. But there's just a lot of brands right now that are like, double my sales in 3 months or I'm dead. Like, okay, that's not possible or what we're interested in.
What are some of the hard pivots that you've had to go through with a partner? Do you have any success stories that you can share regarding how the hard pivot came about, the idea, and then how it succeeded?
Yeah. We have a brand, Space Coyote, probably my favorite brand, favorite people. Scott Sunbor is the founder, smartest dude I've met in cannabis. And he has a very premium product, a great business. And when you're looking at, it's a infused pre-roll. And for a long time, the infused pre-roll market, like an infused pre-roll should be 28 to 35% THC levels, right? And we were like, what is going on here? We're not seeing the velocity that we used to see. What is happening? And what we noticed was the THC levels in the category went from 28 to 35 to 40 to 50 to get that type of velocity. So we quickly worked together to pivot that product into a higher potency type of product, and immediately saw the velocity come back, and the brand is as healthy as ever. So there's only one consistent thing that I've learned in cannabis, and that's that nothing is consistent. So every brand needs to be ready to pivot as the market moves, and that's an example of something that we feel good about, of one of our pivots with our brands.
Is the volatility a result of how young the industry is, or is that sort of the same nature that you see in the greater CPG market?
I think I wasn't around when Prohibition came about, right? But I firmly believe that there was a similar kind of process that's going on right now in cannabis. All of this will be in the economics 101 for people when they go to school, and people are going to be talking about this. If you think about it, right, you got the internet. Outside of that, like, what type of industries started in our lifetime to the tune of 25, 50, $100 billion a year type industries?
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the only one, right? There's not many that just come about like this. So it's not like there's a playbook, it's not like anybody can predict what's going to happen. It is volatile. I think being asset light is the best way to be able to kind of maneuver in the volatile market. And what was in favor, like a big ass grow, was in favor. And I can't tell you how many people were like, "Oh, Jason, come and tour my grow, man. Like, I want to show you we're growing the best weed ever." And it was some good ass weed. One problem. Well, whatever you had in your pro forma with that big ass grow of the price per pound that you were going to get, well, that was cut in half, or cut 75% now, right? So it's interesting to see how what was in favor for a long time and gave people an advantage, for many now is a disadvantage of having that type of growth, right? So that's why Pedal Fast, we're really letting our friends and our partners build the assets. Our asset is our people, and our relationships with retail. Anyway, I think the vertical integration and the more assets that you have, probably the more upside you have, but the more risk you have, because there's going to be so much volatility.
Yeah. I mean, you had mentioned it before about how vertical integration is one of the main reasons that cannabis is failing. You had mentioned some sales challenges that companies are having. You know, brands and operators are currently cutting. What do you attribute sort of the backslide?
All right, so let's think about it. Prices is dropping. Why are prices dropping? Because a lot of people are looking at a lot of weed stacking up in their warehouse, right? Mm-hmm. They're growing it, it's stacking up. So you got two choices: look at it sitting there, or get it out in the market, right? What's the easiest way to get it out in the market? Drop your price and undercut everybody. So we're seeing this time after time. I had people this week call me and say, Jason, I'll give you $150 a pound less than what we were providing your brands before. I go, whoa. So you're taking the tax cut, and week after you get a tax cut, you're dropping your price by $150 a pound? Like, right. That's not going to do any good for you. Mm-hmm. This all stems from basic economics. There is way too much product in the market. There is way too much weed in the market. That's going to drive the prices down until some people go back in business and that weed comes off the market. So I think that's the number one driver. When you we look at open market or free market as twofold. Number one, is there an open market in retail? And everybody was thrilled that Prop 64 got passed in California. However, the one thing that slid under the radar is the ability that the state gave the cities in California the ability to opt out. Okay, that was the only way it was going to get passed. However, on the cultivation side, it was basically unlimited cultivation licenses. So all of these cultivation licenses stacked up, and everybody built their grow. Like, we all had 8 billion opportunities to go and invest in a grow in California. They're still happening. However, we've been sitting at 800 retail stores for 3-4 years, right? And oh, by the way, those 800 retail stores, only 500 of them actually pay their bills. So there's not that big of a landscape. When I lived in Denver for a little while, there's 300 stores in Denver alone, and you're talking about 800 stores in California. That's right. Not going to work, especially when you're allowing all these cultivation licenses to be spun up. So there's two ways. Either retail is going to pick up. I was pumped. Fresno just kicked off. Some of our partners were crushing it in Fresno. That's a monster city. Great cannabis town. There are going to be, that's going to help in a big way. But if you're going to have all these grows coming up, right, we better offset it with more access for consumers. Because, I mean, I live in Laguna Beach. Santa Ana is the only place in Orange County, the most populated county in all of California. Santa Ana is the only city. I have to drive 40 minutes to get legal weed. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I could also hit up somebody and he'll be at my house in 10 minutes. Now, lucky enough, I have samples all the time, and my office is in Irvine, and we support all our retail partners. But come on, if I got to drive 40 minutes, I can't always get a delivery. You know what I mean? So it's we need more access, and I think access plus some folks going out of business on the cultivation side, we'll start to balance this thing out.
I mean, it sounds like it happens a lot where people kind of come to you looking for a lifeline. I mean, do you just kind of see the writing on the wall and have to let them know, like, it's probably not going to work out for you?
It's been hard because some of these people are my friends. Yeah. And, we charge $15,000 a month or 5% of revenue. Mm-hmm. When somebody says to me, oh, $15,000 a month is too much, I'm like, okay, well, if that's too much to pay for all the people that we have out in the field, you got bigger problems. You know what I mean? Like that, you're going to need a lot more than that to go and have success. Go ask Jeter. you know, what they're spending to have the type of success that they have, and Raw Garden and the big boys. So, yeah, I think it's been unfortunate, and really over the last 3 to 6 months, actually even more, just the last 30 days. You know, it's not like people just like go out of business. There's a process, and it usually takes 3, 6, 9, 12 months. People are getting more desperate, and it's getting more challenging, and we're going to be here to support everybody as much as we can, for sure.
You had mentioned being in Denver. You recently expanded into Colorado, and what was the other state that you recently moved into?
No, we're not in Colorado. I just happened to live there for a short stint. We are going into Michigan, launching October 1st in Michigan, and we're launching in Massachusetts with our field organization. Michigan, Massachusetts, Arizona. Right now, they're in the pipeline for the next, call it 6 to 12 months.
Sorry for the confusion there. Do you have any apprehensions in terms of moving into different markets that are sort of at different levels of maturity?
We look for 2 things to enter a market. Number one, when we see prices falling, that's time for us. Prices fall means your margins fall, means you're going to start cutting your own sales team, and you're going to need an outside organization. Michigan and Massachusetts are in a free fall right now because they're about to go through similar things that California is. There is nothing like Pedal Fast in these states, and we're coming in to help. So pricing falling is something that is an indicator of competition, right? And once you see competition and more brands popping up in these states, they need services like what Pedal Fast provides. So we're ultimately looking at brand competition and prices falling in the state. Those are the key indicators that we look for to enter a state. A state like Illinois, a state like Pennsylvania is still pretty vertically integrated, where there's just not enough weed yet. If you get a license and you're able to grow, you're typically selling everything that you can grow, right? We need a more competitive marketplace.
How would you describe your go-to-market or sales strategy? You know, what is it about your formula that's working better than some people, their in-house staff?
Simple. We keep it simple. Sales is a byproduct of distribution points and velocity. That is it. We get you into stores, consumers pick it up, you get a revenue number, right? We're not magicians here. We want to get you into stores that will pay, right? And there's strategies around getting you into stores. And then we want to get you merchandised and do the demo activity and the bud tender training activity to have the best opportunity for a consumer to meet your brand in that store, right? Once that consumer picks up that product, now it's on you, Mr. Brand. They got to have a great experience, right? A lot of CPG people they say you have to delight the consumer, right? The consumer has to like your shit so that they come back and buy it again, right? And one of the biggest challenges in cannabis right now, even if you're one of the great brands, this is still new. Even me, like, I want to try new stuff. You know, I think loyalty is very difficult to come by, because I'm always interested in trying new things. I mean, kudos to Stizzy, kudos to Jeter. They have some of the most loyal consumers that I have seen in this space.
Talking about liking to try a lot of new things and having a lot of samples on hand, have you tried anything lately that you've particularly enjoyed?
Well, we can only have non-med samples in our office. The Irvine company would kill me, but non-med samples, dude, these peanut butter cups from Emerald Sky are a serious problem in our office. I can't even have them around me. They just came out with a sleep peanut butter cup, was great. We just kicked off Bang, which is a legacy chocolate bar. They came out with a pre-roll that I was like blown away by how good it was. Those are the 2 that come to mind that are a little bit out of the box. I mean, we have great value products. There's not much that we don't have. in our portfolio. I'll tell you the things that we're looking for. We believe in solventless. I mean, rosin and solventless infused pre-rolls are certainly something on the roadmap that we believe is going to be, big in the market. And it's really interesting as we're going into Michigan and Massachusetts, the trends of what we see happening in California, like a year ago, are just starting there. So I think understanding California will allow us to be on the cutting edge. But we are always looking at rosin, solventless products. I don't really dab all that much. I have, like, if by chance, like somehow, some way, I was on the couch with nothing going on and no kids and I could watch a movie, like I'm down to dab. That happens like once a year for me. I'm more of a flower, pre-roll or a bong type of guy. So I stay in that lane, and we've got some really good flower.
As you move into new states, are you keeping your base in California, or are you going to have boots on the ground in these different states?
Michigan is a 13-person selling organization. Massachusetts is going to be a 14-person selling organization. That's including the field teams. The thing we won't have to build out, I said we've got 40 some people or 50 people or so in California. Our shared services, our C-suite, HR, accounting, a lot of the leadership, that's all going to be based here in California. And then we'll have a state manager with sales and marketing in each state.
Is one of the most challenging things getting into a retail location just a lack of shelf space?
I don't know that there's a lack of shelf space. There's too many brands vying for that shelf space. So yeah, ultimately, when you look at a category like flower, there's going to be 25 to 50 brands. There's 500 to 1,000 brands in that category. So there's just a lot of brands buying for that retailer spots. And you also got to pick and choose the retailers. A lot of retailers, are supportive of brands. A lot of retailers take advantage of brands. So it's also understanding, who you really want to play ball with as a partner.
Well, labor has been an issue in any industry, in any occupation. One of the more challenging spots has been sales. So as you're expanding your sales team, and to only have one person turnover, what do you look for in a salesperson that will help them be successful in the industry?
I think it's the little things, man. Like I'm telling you, like the way we recruit as a team.
Yeah.
Our whole team is recruiting people all day, every day. And we're learning these personalities as we go. I think as like when you start a new job, it's I don't care who you are. You're nervous, you're scared, you're like the unknown is like, oh boy, what's going on here? And just a simple thing, like you will get a text in your first week from every single employee at PedalFast in your first week, right? That's a little thing, but I think that makes you feel pretty good and welcomed. I mentioned Gina Seglia, our Chief Strategy Officer, the best I've ever seen at cultivating happiness, culture, getting people together. Gina also runs, strategy. She runs operations. She runs HR. She does a lot of things. But when you think about what is it going to take to build the best culture, it's going to take people focused on building the best culture. And a lot of people look at that as like a cost center. We don't look at it that way. We truly believe that we're going to get more out of our people. They're going to be happier. One of the people that I went to Bucknell University, and there's a guy named Pete Cadence, who I think he's like 10 years older than me, but I played basketball at Bucknell and I met him. It's funny, like when we were good and going to the NCAA tournament, he was around. The years that we weren't so good, I didn't see him as much. But when I went to get into cannabis, I called Pete, and I didn't know him at all. I called Pete and I said, hey man, I know you're in cannabis. Maybe you want to invest or look at my business. And There was some for Summit Innovations. He was the founder alongside of Ben Kovlar of GTI. Okay. And I flew to Chicago to pitch Pete. And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to bring my friend Anthony." Anthony was the CFO. He also went to Bucknell to listen to your pitch. They both told me no. They told me that I was no, we're good. We're not going to invest in this, but thank you. And then I sold that company a year later to Kushko Holdings, and they both were like, "Oh, maybe this guy's legit, right?" And since then, I've watched Pete and what he has done with GTI, and he's been a mentor of sorts to me. The thing that I was most impressed with learning from him a little bit over the years was that when you walk into GTI's office, and I used to do the rounds, man, I used to go GTI, Cureleaf, Cresco, Grassroots, PharmaCann. I'd hit them all in like 2 days when I was selling packaging and vape. You walk into GTI's office and you just feel different.
Yeah.
Right. The care, the happiness, the love that exudes from that place, I was always amazed by. And it does not happen by accident. And the things that Pete and Ben and Anthony and Jen Dooley, who's on our board and is an advisor to us, who is the chief strategy officer, the things that they did to cultivate that, I was always extremely impressed with. And we're trying to take those learnings to Pedal Fast. And that was kind of my evolution of like, maybe this isn't all about just dollars and cents. Maybe this entrepreneurial game and this business game is a little bit more like life in the fact that it's about relationships, about treating people right, and just doing the right thing. And whenever I get myself in trouble in anything in my life, I just didn't do the right thing, right? Or my kids didn't do the right thing. And it's no different with this, right? And we treat people right here. We pay people well here. And they give it everything and more back in return.
Are you planning to stay in cannabis for the rest of your career?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. I like cannabis. I think in the way that I'm a 0 to 10 guy, right? I'll let somebody else take this to the next level. I always joke with people, you can't micromanage if you don't manage. I'm not the greatest manager in the world. I like to take nothing and turning it into something. I like to cultivate culture. I like to hire really good people. And the older I get, the more I realize that it's not about me. It's about, finding the right pieces around me. And Gina and Arun are the best partners I could possibly have. I like the cannabis space so much because of you can be whoever you want to be. I mean, there's no Coca-Cola yet. I mean, certainly there's some big companies out there, but if you want to be the largest brand, go do it. There's nobody out there. You want to be the largest, somebody will be, and somebody will be the largest distributor. And I believe that Pedal Fest has the ability to execute on that goal. With that said, two industries that I look at that I certainly, when I'm looking at like businesses that I would build, number one, anything involving global warming, like that's happening. That's not going to stop. There's going to be businesses that are built around kind of that phenomenon. And then number two, I'm fascinated by the effects of sports betting. I think that everybody focuses on the tech and FanDuel and DraftKings and all these things that have come across as sports betting has legalized across the country. I'm not interested on that. You're too late to the party if you're interested on that. I'm interested on what is the effects on this world and the United States and on people when they become it becomes a problem, or how can you help people? And I think businesses will be made out of helping people as humans go through this evolution of now, Sports Center's talking about like lines and whatnot, and whether you believe it or not, it's here, and there's going to be effects to society because of it. And those are the type of things I look at when I'm thinking about starting a business.
Interesting, very interesting. Are you into sports gambling?
No.
Yeah. It's
I like but
it's one of those where I did it a couple of times and I'm like, ooh, I understand how this can be enticing.
float, man.
Yeah.
No, but I am a huge Philadelphia sports fan.
I can tell. You got it right next to you.
I got Rocky here. This is the company, the first deck that we ever made. This is the best slide. And I put it up behind me. It's a route to market slide, but yeah, man, Rocky's like a real life human being for me, man. So
yeah,
Rocky IV, favorite movie of all time. Drago, the Russian.
So what was your take on Creed 2?
Dude, I didn't want to like it. I didn't want to like either movie because I'm like a pure Rocky Balboa type of guy.
Yeah.
And I can't help but love both of those movies. And if I'm ever on a plane, like I'm watching Creed 2.
Yeah. No, they just did such a good job of continuing that story. I was the same way where I was like, oh, it was really good. No.
Like I didn't want to like it. And me being a Philadelphia guy, you know, they keep the Philly authenticity into it. And I mean, I don't know what it is. Something about Drago, Rocky IV always. Dude, I was Ivan Drago for Halloween when I was like 12, man.
Nice. Yeah. You talked about the route to market slide behind you. Has your strategy changed at all since that first deck?
I tell people all the time, every single business I've ever started, the thesis and the plan pivoted like 80 times and like every week. It's gone exactly as planned.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
There's not many changes. It's gone really as planned. And the thing that I have to do, and I have to remind myself every day, and luckily I have Gina, who, if I don't remind myself, she does it for me. I got to say no, because I'm the type, I want to do more. I want to do everything. At heart, I am a business development guy, and I want to go and start the next thing. And I've gotten better as a business person by just saying no and being focused on exactly what we do. So as long as we continue to do what we are doing today, and not be, opportunity is the reason that we're all here in cannabis, right? Opportunity is also one of the reasons why we all fail, because we try to take on too much. And Gina and Arun, you know, certainly they got to say no to me a lot. And it's a good thing that I listen these days.
Does that, I bet that incubator program, that has to help you scratch that business development itch a bit.
Yes. I tell our biz dev guys that I got to get on a call at least twice a week and just do some like pure biz dev and tell the story. And now, you know, I'm doing more podcasts. So that gets me storytelling a little bit.
Okay.
But at heart, I really enjoy that sale and showing people light and bring them onto our platform, and then them saying, wow, you were right, and backing it up with really strong execution.
Well, before we get out of here, you know, is there anything that we might have left out, or anything in particular that you want to make sure the Cannabis Equipment News audience knows about PedalFast?
I think there's a group of people here, and I mentioned it before, that they've been in the game for a while, right? And I think that when you're an outsider, whether you're trying to learn about the space, you're trying to invest in the space, you're in the space and just want to know more. The thing that amazes me is when people talk to us and talk to our team or around our team, they can just feel the excitement, right? And they can feel that something real is going on here. And they want to be a part of it. Like, you just want to be a part of what's going on. So I continue to stand behind, when I'm looking now at investments in cannabis, or I'm looking at partners in cannabis, I'm looking at the teams. I'm looking at what type of people do you have? Are they happy there? And you know, could this eventually break down if not? So PedalFast has a really, really strong team, and it's the thing I'm most proud of.
Very good. Anything that we could look forward to, you know, in the near future? Any news coming down the pipeline?
Oh, we got some unbelievable news coming down the next 3 months. we are, I can't really say it or that would ruin the news. But expansion plans, funding round, as everybody is pulling back, PedalFast is going forward, and we're gonna hit the gas pedal. And I'm happy to say that our investors, our team, and the whoever we hire in the next 20 people that there's open recs for, we're going to be ready to execute on the plan.
Excellent. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time today. It was really interesting to learn more about your business and how you are helping out a lot of brands in the industry today.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. Finally, if you want to email the podcast, you can reach me at david@cannabisequipmentnews.com with email the podcast in the subject line. All right. For Jason Vegotsky, CEO of PedalFast, I'm David Manti. This is the Cannabis Equipment News Podcast. We'll see you next week.